Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing
Good.
well. All right. Well, did you have a hard time logging in or was everything okay?
Everything seemed fine.
Good. 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 Mine was a little
Yeah.
slow, so I just turned it off, turned back on, and then it was okay. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking that Nora was going to be here and possibly Donna, so I was wondering if maybe they were having an issue, but that's okay. They can jump in when we start. So, all right. Well,
Okay.
go ahead. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, I know. Yay. All right. We'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Here we go. All right. Let's start off with common words. Ready? Might, able, truly, ever, bad, while, reply, care, appreciate, anything, went, call, money, yesterday, month, hand, making, still, look, friend, done, expect, even, pleased, case, writing, keep, thought, nothing, favor, regarding, both, something, getting, necessary, given, once, another, big, own, under, through, most, service, house, office, without, off, ask, ago, kind, days, credit, each, enough, mother, date, tell, sure, place, people, receive, its, then, number, business, book, morning, upon, three, said, always. All right. Common phrases. So you want to phrase as much as possible. Here we go. Ready? Is, whether or not, may not, or not, whether or not, of course. And I do that final FK. I don't know if you phrase of course, but that's a great one. Because of, in lieu of, in spite of, in view of, off the, of the, law officer, law enforcement officer, police officer, about how often, too often, at or about, OERB, on the other hand, OEND, on the part, in my opinion, in your opinion, that's NURP, in your opinion, in our opinion, or not, place of business, place of employment, plaintiff's exhibit, point of law, point of view, police department, police officer, police station, preponderance of the evidence, Mr. President, Ms. President, the President, Vice President, Vice Presidents, previous to, prior to, approximate cause. Can he recall? Can I recall? Can you recall? Could have recalled? Could recall? Did he recall? Did I recall? Did you recall? All right. So again, I don't know if you know these already, but plaintiff's exhibit, I do PLEX. On the other hand, OEND, on or about, OERB, in your opinion, and URP. All right. Let's go ahead and do some, wait on that one for just a minute. Okay, let's do our basic brief review from theory. Okay, so we have and, regular, advertise, receipt, usual, satisfy. Here are your sentences. Be sure to include your receipt. We hope our merchandise will satisfy your needs. We are in receipt of your message. The receipt is sent separately from the bill of lading. The usual fee is quite low. We advertise regularly. They demand accord and satisfaction. His visits were on an irregular basis. He should use regular gas. The company expressed dissatisfaction with his irregular attendance. I purchased meat and milk. Ham and eggs go together well. I am a regular fan. Park in your regular space. Why don't you advertise for help? It pays to advertise. You don't have to advertise it all over town. Spices tend to satisfy the taste buds. All right. Now I've got a number drill. Public law and title numbers. Here we go. Title 1, 1,433,588. Public law number 874. 51,423,401. Title 2, 1,278,000. Public law 815. 23,947,217. Title 3, 580,250,000. Public law 837. 34,985,389. Title 4, 3,452,796,000. Public law 803. 65,567,934. Title 5, 7,029,000. Public law 824. 27,982,238. Title 6, 2,376,004,000. Public law 891. 42,558,320. All right, now I've got a drill here that focuses on loss, LOS, loft, L-O-F-T, or I'm sorry, lost, L-O-F-T, so it doesn't conflict with loft. Loose, my tooth is loose, L-A-O-S, lose, L-O-Z. Here we go. Or you can even write it as L long U-Z if you want. Lose is one of those you can either do by the sound or by the spelling. L-O-Z or L long U-Z. Here we go, ready? He is lucky he didn't lose his life. If we lost her, it will be a real loss to all of us. I lost my watch at the fair because the band came loose last week. It was a terrible loss to suffer, and then he had another loss. If we lose this game, it will be the third loss in a row, and we must not lose. We should not have lost the last one, but we won't lose this one. It was not a loss to lose that loose fitting. He lost his wheel when the lug nut worked loose. The coil wire on the car is loose and you should repair it so you don't lose it. We lost the bolt because it came loose and then we lost the nut. Did you lose the game or did he lose the game? We suffered a loss and another loss and another. All right, words that end in ing. I'll give you the words first and then the sentences. Here we go. Grabbing, betting, drumming, sagging, licking, stirring, digging, tugging, nagging, fading, skipping, lining, sharing, naming, shopping, letting, dining, brimming, baking, sharing, hoping, buzzing, patting, sliding, grating, dropping, raining, sobbing, whipping, slipping, skimming, fitting, sledding, running, purring, stabbing, canning, spinning, stunning, fibbing, taping, bedding, dipping, wiping, rubbing, budding, trimming, firing, tipping, shutting, shipping, caring, taping, gazing, lacking, topping, cashing, robbing, wishing, catching, wetting, charring, matching, patching, mashing, hitching, stashing, stubbing, stacking, stoning, hugging, stepping, hiding, pining. And then here are your, well, this is like a paragraph. Here we go. Ready? His father is raising horses, and some of them are racing at the track this week. Some are trotting horses. The filly is running very well and has a good chance of winning. I am betting on her and hoping that I will be getting rich because she is a long shot. If I do make a killing, I will take you dining and dancing. So let me do that one more time at a faster pace. Here we go. His father is raising horses, and some of them are racing at the track this week. Some are trotting horses. The filly is running very well and has a good chance of winning. I am betting on her and hoping that I will be getting rich because she is a long shot. If I do make a killing, I will take you dining and dancing. Okay, one more time. This will be the fastest speed here. His father is raising horses, and some of them are racing at the track this week. Some are trotting horses. The filly is running very well and has a good chance of winning. I am betting on her and hoping that I will be getting rich because she is a long shot. If I do make a killing, I will take you dining and dancing. Okay. Now, I'm going to do just a few doctors, locations, times of operations, and all of that. All right. Oops. Here we go. Let's see. All right, here we go. Internal medicine. Natasha Alexander, MD, ALEXANDER, NPI number 00A064687, 1701 East Florida Avenue, Hemet, California, 92540. Phone number 951-658-4586. 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Located at Hemet Valley Medical Center, DOC number 156715030, ACMG. Family practice, Josephina G. Campbell, CAMPBELL, MD, NPI number 00DC204587. Address 11949 Hesperia Road, Suite B, Hesperia, California, 92345. Josh Campbell, 1968, at gmail.com, and Josephina Campbell, 1968, at gmail.com. Phone number 760-949-0362. Hours of operation 9 to 9 Monday through Friday, and 9 to 7 Saturday and Sunday. Located at Victor Valley Memorial Medical Center, DOC number 13060121935, VMG. Kenneth Malini, MD, MALINI, NPI number J23185-215, located at 17095 Main Street, Hesperia, California, 92345. Phone number 760-241-6586. Hours of operation 7 to 5 Monday through Friday. St. Mary's Medical Center, DOC number 1589828-537. Ganal Deshedra, GAHNEL, NPI number J23201-086, 1919 Hesperia Road, number A and B, Hesperia, California, 92345. Email at admin@fpamedical.com. Phone number 760-948-1454. Hours of operation 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday, located at Desert Valley Hospital, DOC number 189-165-3136. And the last one, pediatrics, Nicole M. Antonio, MD, ANTONIO, NPI number J36403417, located at 7230 Church Street, Suite C1, Highland, California, 92346. Phone number 909-425-3939. Hours of operation 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Fridays. Located at Loma Linda University Children's Hospital, DOC number 173-0898-595. All right. Let's do some consonant compounds. These sentences focus on initial DR. All right, here we go. He was a draftsman who drew the dream. Don't spend a drachma in the draft. A drainpipe dream was dramatic. Driftwood dressers are drastic. One drawback to drawstring is, or let me say that again. One drawback to drawing is drowsiness. A dragonfly was drifting dramatically. The dressy dribbler dragged along. The drummer drowned, leaving the drugstore. The dripping water was drinkable. The driftwood dried in the draft and drooped. The drapes were dreadfully dreary. He drilled a hole in the dry driftwood. He was so dry he dreamed of dripping water. The druggist was so dreary he took up drumming. The dramatic child dreamed dreadfully. Dreadnoughts are drawbacks for dredging. In Dresden, a drover drives sheep. Don't drool and droop over drinking draft beer. The drama was dragging down the draftee. All right. Let's do some Tangle Tamers. Here we go. Ready? Huddled masses, electronic conductors, neighborhood association, privately adopted, between performances, disappointed spectator, audio cassettes, academically inept, identifying information, confidentiality protected, adoption agency, confidentiality waiver, computer peripherals, rehabilitation counseling, humongous selection, romantic trellises, ventilator rhythm, patterns and notions, undercover detectives, hilly farmland, densely populated, devastating consequences, widespread confusion, subleasing corporation, ecological consequences, chatted confidentially, crippled communications, narcotics investigation, allegedly victimized, separate proceeding, subleasing corporation, wrenching experience, soldering and plastering, adjoining library, potentially acrimonious, cancers diagnosed, preventative programs, combustibles and libations, identifying influences, surveillance program, automatic handgun, storm damaged landmarks, motorists conveyed, malicious innuendo, aerospace engineer, festooned with ribbons. All right. How are we doing on time? Good. We're doing okay. We'll go ahead and move into, I've got more drills, but I think we've done quite a bit. Okay, before we get started with our jury charge, I have some straight matter for you. This is a paragraph long. I'm going to read it once at 180, again at 200, again at 225. This is just straight matter. Okay, and you're going to hear hazardous, concrete, slippery, condition, concentrate, lethal, attention. All right, I'm just stating this so I know we've covered it. Here we go, ready? Driving can be hard if the road is wet or covered with ice or snow. Stopping distances are increased when these hazardous driving conditions exist. When you are driving under these hard conditions, remember that it will take you longer to stop and that heavy braking may result in losing control of your car. If the surface is slippery, avoid any quick movements of the steering wheel. When you apply the brakes, pump steadily and evenly to avoid locking the wheels. Slow down and allow extra stopping time. It takes just a split second to lose control of your car, so be sure that your mind does not wander. You need to keep your attention concentrated on your driving. You should not be tense, but you should be fully aware that you are doing, or what you are doing, is driving a lethal weapon. All right, so let's do that again at 200. Driving can be hard if the road is wet or covered with ice or snow. Stopping distances are increased when these hazardous driving conditions exist. When you are driving under these hard conditions, remember that it will take you longer to stop and that heavy braking may result in losing control of your car. If the surface is slippery, avoid any quick movements of the steering wheel. When you apply the brakes, pump steadily and evenly to avoid locking the wheels. Slow down and allow extra stopping time. It just takes a split second to lose control of your car, so be sure that your mind does not wander. You need to keep your attention concentrated on your driving. You should not be tense, but you should be fully aware that what you are doing is driving a lethal weapon. All right, last time at 225. Driving can be hard if the road is wet or covered with ice or snow. Stopping distances are increased when these hazardous driving conditions exist. When you are driving under these hard conditions, remember that it will take you longer to stop and that heavy braking may result in losing control of your car. If the surface is slippery, avoid any quick movements of the steering wheel. When you apply the brakes, pump steadily and evenly to avoid locking the wheels. Slow down and allow extra stopping time. It just takes a split second to lose control of your car, so be sure that your mind does not wander. You need to keep your attention concentrated on your driving. You should not be tense, but you should be fully aware that what you are doing is driving a lethal weapon. All right, so I'm going to read just a few pages of the night in question. And I'll read this at 200. Okay, here we go. We were still on Sunset, and I passed the light on Burlingame and made a sharp right onto Rockingham, tearing up the winding hill toward the house. As I approached the gate, I saw a limo moving toward the Rockingham gate from Ashford Street and remembered that I had a flight to catch. I drove past my house and past the moving limo, and in the side view mirror, I saw its taillights flare as it pulled to a stop in front of my gate. The driver had probably been waiting on Ashford out of sight, and I wondered if he'd already called the house. I had no idea what time it was. I looked down at the Broncos clock and saw it was 10:37. Fuck, I was supposed to be in that limo in 8 minutes. I pulled into Ashford and kept going, hanging a ride on Bristol, and I parked in the shadows beyond the home of Eric Watts. There was another neighbor on Rockingham who was closer, but his property ran parallel to mine, and I couldn't get inside without running the risk of being spotted by the limo driver. I was going to have to steal out onto my property through the Watts place, and I knew just how to do it. I looked down at my lap and the bloody bundle, then over at Charlie. "You're going to have to help me out here, man," I said. Charlie turned to look at me. His mouth was hanging open a bit, and he was breathing kind of funny, and he couldn't stop shaking his head. It looked like he was slipping into shock or something. Charlie, are you listening to me? I said. He stopped shaking his head for a moment and nodded once, and I began to tell him what I needed from him. I've got to get into my house, I said. You're going to have to wait here until I'm in the limo, understand? When the limo is gone, Charlie looked away into the darkness beyond his own window, clearly not listening to me. I reached over and slammed his left shoulder into his seat hard, and he whipped around to face me, more frightened than ever. I need you to fucking listen to me, man, I shouted. Are you fucking listening to me? Charlie nodded. He looked scared to death. Say it. Tell me you are listening. I'm listening, he mumbled. Let me spell it out for you, and you better pay attention. Are you paying attention to me? Charlie nodded. Say it, goddammit. I'm paying attention, Charlie said. I'm going to sneak back into my house. I'm going to take a shower, get dressed, and grab my bags. And I'm going to get into that limo we just passed. Did you see the limo? No, Charlie said. Well, there's a fucking limo parked in front of the Rockingham gate, and I'm supposed to be in it, on my way to the airport. A limo, Charlie repeated. His mouth was still hanging open, and I wasn't sure any of this was really registering, but I didn't have a choice. Once I'm in that limo and it's gone, I need you to park the Bronco in the driveway, then get into your car and take the fuck off. Do you understand? Charlie nodded. This here is the clicker. It will open the gate. You can drop the key in the mailbox, but run out before the gate closes, okay? Okay, he said. I took the key out of the ignition and removed all of the keys except the one for the Bronco. Then I set the bundle in his lap. I need you to take these clothes and get rid of them, I said. Charlie looked down at the bundle, afraid to touch it. I don't give a fuck how you get rid of it, but make sure it disappears. Do you hear? It needs to disappear forever. Charlie nodded. Did you fucking hear me? I hollered. I hear you, Charlie said. I made him repeat everything I had told him word for word. Then I got out of the car and stole into the neighbor's property toward my house. My heart was beating like crazy. I could feel it pounding in my ears. I moved past the tennis court to the little street path that connected our two properties. Only a few friends knew about that path, and all of them were tennis players. They made use of it whenever I wasn't around to open the gate for them. Within seconds, I was on my way to my property, moving past my own tennis court. I hung a left, moving past the guest houses, all of which are tucked away out of sight, and past the pool toward the rear of the main house. I couldn't get the limo from way back there, but I knew it was at the Rockingham gate where I couldn't see. I was sure the driver had already buzzed the house by then, and I was pretty sure he'd already called his office to tell them I wasn't there. Still, he was a few minutes early, and he'd hang tight. He'd buzz again in a few minutes. For all I knew, he was buzzing at that very moment. As I was moving past Cato's room, I stumbled against one of the air conditioning units, making a racket, and almost fell down. I stole past, still clutching my keys, breathing hard, and let myself through the back door. I moved toward the alarm panel and punched in the code to keep it from going off. I didn't turn on any lights until I got upstairs into my own room. Then I hurried into the bathroom and hopped into the shower. Not a minute later, I heard the phone ringing. I saw that the bottom light was flashing, the light that corresponded to the Rockingham gate, so I knew it was the limo driver. I figured he'd seen the lights go on in the bedroom and the bathroom and was trying me again. Maybe he thought I had been asleep. That would be a good thing to tell him, that I'd been asleep. I let the phone ring, knowing he'd call back, and finished showering. I got out and dried myself, thinking about what I had to do. My bags were pretty well packed, so I was almost ready to go. I slipped into my black robe and went downstairs and grabbed the Louis Vuitton bag and my golf clubs and took them out front and set them in the courtyard. The driver saw me and got out of the limo, squinting in my direction. I hurried back upstairs to finish dressing, with my heart still beating like crazy. I could feel it in my ears and against my temples, but as I looked around, I couldn't understand what I was so worked up about. I took a deep breath and told myself the last hour was just a nightmare. None of that ever happened. All right, so we'll stop there. Now let's get on to jury charge. All right, so I've got a jury charge here, and the subject is negligence. All right, now I will read this at 200. Actually, I'll start at 180 and work my way to 200. Here we go. Members of the jury, any action of this kind is based upon a claim that the defendant has been negligent because the law would not permit you to find a verdict for the plaintiff or to award any damages unless you should conclude first that the accident resulted because of negligence on the part of the defendant. Secondly, that there was no negligence by the minor plaintiff which contributed in any way to the accident. And thirdly, that the injuries and the death resulted from the accident itself. Negligence is a failure to use the care and caution which a reasonably prudent person would exercise under the same circumstances. The reason that the plaintiff cannot recover without proving negligence on the part of the defendant is that the law does not raise any presumption just because an accident has occurred that the defendant has been negligent. That is a matter which you would have to find from the testimony. On the other hand, the law holds that if a claim is presented on behalf of anybody, there can be no recovery if that particular person was himself in any degree responsible for the accident. That is what is called contributory negligence. If any negligence on the part of the minor plaintiff contributed to the happening of the accident, there could be no recovery. In this case, inasmuch as the minor plaintiff died as a result of the injuries, the law raises the presumption that he was careful and that he was not contributorily negligent. It would be essential, therefore, for the defendant to prove contributory negligence on the part of the boy. That will be one of the questions you will have to take into consideration. It is your duty to determine the facts. It is your duty to reconcile the testimony as far as you can, bearing in mind the fact that no two persons recount a thing exactly the same. Bear in mind the further fact that there is apt to be a little confusion on the part of the witnesses inexperienced in court when they get on the witness stand, and consequently minor discrepancies may appear. You take all of those factors into consideration and you bring to bear in passing upon the facts your judgment as to who has been telling you the truth. In other words, you pass upon the credibility of the witnesses. When you do that, you may take into consideration their interest in the outcome of the case, if any. I do not mean that just because a person may be interested in the outcome of a case, that he or she is not telling the truth, because obviously in many, many instances, they do tell the truth. That is merely a factor for you to consider. You bring to bear all those quantities and qualities that you have acquired as to adult human beings, which enable you to determine whether a person is being truthful or untruthful. Although I shall refer to the facts, you take your recollection at all times in preference to anything that I may say. It may be that I will make some error inadvertently in discussing the facts, or I may overlook something that you think is important. So you trust your own recollection. It is also your duty to determine what inferences flow from the facts that you think are established by the weight of the credible evidence. Your verdict must be unanimous. You take your instructions as to the law from me, but you are the proper persons to determine just what happened in this particular case. You must arrive at your verdict without either prejudice or sympathy. You have absolutely no right to find a verdict against any defendant because you sympathize with the plaintiff. You would have no right to find any verdict because of prejudice or any feeling of that kind. You are, as briefly as I may put it, an impartial fact-finding body, and you approach your duties and in an entirely dispassionate frame of mind. The first question for you to determine is how the accident happened and where the responsibility lies. I may say to you that the duty upon the part of the automobile drivers is to handle their vehicles at all times with the proper care under these circumstances. For example, when a motorist comes to a street crossing, he is not free to drive quite as rapidly or quite as freely as he might drive in between streets. He must take into consideration the fact that he is coming up to a crossing. Also, if a motorist is going to make a left turn on a street where there is a two-way traffic, It is obvious that before making the left turn, he must exercise special care to see that there is no traffic coming in the opposite direction before he is at liberty to pull across the other traffic lane. All right. Now I've got one of these Q&A drills where they're, the answer is kind of, the question and answers are all over the place, so it doesn't really flow. So it just kind of makes you think. You have to write what you hear. So this is going to be, I'll do this at 180 because it is a little tricky. Okay. Some of them don't even make sense, but that's why we have these. So one page. Here we go. I'll read this at 180. It's just Q&A. May I have a glass of milk, please? Yes, you may. Mr. Brown is very old. He has got no teeth at all. Hurry up. Okay, this cube of ice is melting. I know. Do come in. Thank you. Do they sell any flowers in the supermarket? No, sir. You don't smoke, do you? No, ma'am. What an incredible piece of news. I know. Did you have to finish this bowl of soup? Absolutely. I'm afraid there is no butter for you. Oh, no. The cat is hungry. Can you give her some milk, please? I can't. You will have a plate of pasta. No, thank you. Sit down and open your books. We have. Come in and sit down. Thank you. I met your English friends last week. What nice people they are. I know. You can eat a slice of cheese if you want. Okay. How lovely to see you again. Where have you been for the last 3 months? Hiking. Let's have lunch now. I'm not hungry. Never do that again. I won't. Don't go into that house. I know. They have no Red Sox in the store. What a bummer. Can I have some sugar, please? I don't have any. I like to spend my holidays in the valley. The place is so quiet. It is boring. Let's not say a word. Why? Let's go to the beach. It is cold today. Are there any buses to the square? I don't know. Get the dog vaccinated as soon as possible. I don't have the money. Get out of the way. You get out of the way. Do you want some bread and butter? No, thank you. You aren't still hungry, are you? I'm stuffed. Do have a cup of tea. What kind? You haven't been to London, have you? No, I have never traveled. So again, it doesn't really make sense, but that's the whole purpose. Just writing what you hear. All right. So I do have our one-page Q&A, but I'm going to wait for that because I want to make sure that we're completely warmed up, okay, before we do that. Okay. All right. So this one is 2 pages. So I will start at 180 and work my way to 200 with this one, okay? All right, and this one is defense. Let's see, okay, here we go. So this one's just regular Q&A. Here we go. Do you remember with any degree of specificity the discussions that you had at the first meeting that you had with John Lim? Who? John Lim? John Lim, L-I-M. I do remember a good deal of the details, yes. And this was with Mr. Lim and Mr. Rodas only. As far as I can recollect, those were the only 2 other people in the room besides myself. It's quite possible there were other people that you don't recollect at this point. It's possible. I don't think it's a probable. Did you know that Mr. Rodas's girlfriend, did you know her at that time? I had met her. Was she at that meeting? I believe she opened the door and left shortly before or thereafter, to the best of my recollection. You don't remember that for certain? No, I don't remember it for certain. Very good. Now you claim that you had certain meetings between the first meeting. We don't know the precise date and the time that the cocaine was picked up by you. Is that correct? That's correct. Now, you had meetings with Mr. Rodas. Is that correct? Yes. And you say that you had meetings with Mr. Lim or Lim during this period? To the best of my recollection, there was one meeting that I recall. At that meeting, do you have any recollection of the date of that meeting? Was it in January? To the best of my recollection, there was a meeting in late January or early February around in this area. Now, at this meeting, Mr. Rodas was present, to the best of my recollection, and Mr. Lim was present. I can't recollect with any certainty that at that particular meeting, Mr. Lim was present. All right, now, the next time that you remember seeing Mr. Lim was in Rio. Isn't that correct? I recollect there were two meetings. At one, I saw Mr. Lim. That was prior to the Rio meeting. And at the other one, you saw Mr. Rodas. I believe at that meeting I am speaking of, both were present, if my recollection is accurate. Do you know when that meeting was? In late January or early February? You met with both of them? Yes, with both of them. There were several subsequent meetings. Whether I met with both at that time, I have no clear recollection. Okay, so you just don't really recall? That's correct. Do you know how long that first meeting you had with Mr. Lim and Mr. Rodas lasted? Well, we caught a late morning American flight from San Diego, flew to San Francisco, and caught the late afternoon flight home. So it couldn't have been very long, could it? I imagine probably about 4 hours. You caught a late afternoon flight down and you caught an early afternoon flight back? The other way around. You caught an early afternoon flight? I was in San Diego. I flew up to San Francisco. It was already dark when I arrived. Daylight savings was already over with at that time? Yes, it was. Now, would you describe your discussions with Mr. Morgan relative to his role in the conspiracy? His role was defined as that of a courier traveling with me throughout the journey until the cocaine was passed to Mr. Mahoney. Then he would come back to the United States via another route. Did you tell Mr. Morgan where the cocaine was coming from, the geographic location, the identity of the person who would supply it? To the best of my recollection at that point, no, I did not. And why was that? He didn't need to know why. Okay. Let's do some regular Q&A before we do our read back. Excuse me. All right. Here we go. Leah, please raise your right hand. Okay. You may be seated. Please tell me your full name. My name is Leah Darlene Moss. Could you spell each name slowly, please, and clearly? Leah, L-E-A-H, Darlene, D-A-R-L-E-N-E, Moss, M-O-S-S. M-O-S-S? Yes. Okay, thank you. Counsel? Good morning, Leah. Uh-huh. Are you 13 years old? Is that correct? Yes. Do you recall when you used to live with your mother last year? Do you remember making some statements to a few workers regarding some things your mother did? Yes. Do you recall, Leah, your mother ever asking you to pee for her so she could submit it for testing? I'm sorry, I can't. Yes. Do you recall how many times she asked you? I don't think so. Do you know when that was? No. Have you ever seen her ask your brother or sisters to pee for her? Yes. How many times have you seen her ask a couple? Have you ever seen your brother or sisters actually pee for her? Yes. Who? Lamont. How many times did you see Lamont pee for your mom? Like 3 or 4 times. How about Jessie? Yes. How many times? Like 3 or 4 times. And Keenan? None. When she asked Lamont and Jessie to pee for her, did she explain why she needed the pee? No. Did she explain to you why she needed your pee? No, but I heard all about it. What did she say? I heard it like from my aunties. Now, when your mom asked you to pee, where did she ask you to pee when she made that request? What? When she asked you to pee, did she ask you to pee in a specific place or somewhere for her? In a little bottle. Can you describe the bottle? What does it look like? Can you compare it to something? Like when you go at the doctor, the pee thing that they make you pee in, like that. Okay, continue. Was this a clear bottle? Clear plastic bottle. Did she have it in her hand when she asked you to pee? Yes. Was anybody else there when she was asking you to do this? Grandmothers, aunties, and uncles. Do you recall, were you at your house at your mother's house when she asked you to do this? Yes, on Bolton. Now, when you say the relatives were present, the aunties, uncles, grandmothers, were they all in the same room? In your opinion, could they all have heard your mother asking you? No, my auntie was probably like in the kitchen. Could you speak more slowly, please? Okay, my auntie was probably in the kitchen cooking. My grandmother was probably in the bedroom. Who else was within earshot and likely heard your mother ask you? Nobody. Okay, continue, counsel. Thank you. Now, what did you tell her after she asked you? No. Did you say anything else? No. Did you do it anyway? No. Now, Leah, when you were living with your mom, did your mom ever hit you? She tried to, but my grandmother stopped it. I'm sorry, what? She tried to. But what? My grandmother stopped her. How did your mom try? Because I won't do things that she will ask me to do. When you say your mom tried to, did she try with her hands or some object? Hands. Did you ever see your mom hit your siblings? My little brother and sisters? Yes. What did you see her hit them with? A house shoe. A what? A house shoe. Like a slipper, you mean? Yes. Who did you see her hit with a slipper? All of them. Can you name them? Keenan, Jesse, and Lamont. What does a slipper look like? It was like could you describe the color? Black. Are you sure? Yes. How many times did you see your mom hit Keenan? First of all, Keenan. A couple of times. Now, when you saw her hit Keenan, where did you see her hit him? Behind. Like his butt? Uh-huh. Is that a yes? Yes. Did you see Keenan have any kind of reaction after being hit by your mom? Crying. How many times did you see your mom hit Lamont? A couple of times when he would do something bad. And where would your mom hit him? On the behind. Did you ever see him respond? Cry. And what about Jesse? Behind. How many times? A lot of times. And did you see her also cry? Did she cry each and every time you saw it? Yes. Did Lamont cry each and every time you saw it? Yes. Have you seen your mom hit them with anything else besides the house shoe? Yes, a belt and a spoon. Whose belt, if you know? Probably my grandmother's or somebody's. Do you recall the color of the belt? I think it was brown. Do you recall what the belt was made out of? Was it leather, cloth? Leather. And who did you see your mom hit with the belt? All three of them, Lamont, Jesse, and Keenan. And did you see where she hit them? All over, the behind, the back, the face. Did you ever see any marks or bruises left on any of your siblings after your mom hit them with any object? Just red skin. Now, did you see them cry after they were hit? Yes. With the belt? With a belt? Is that a yes or a no? Yes. All of them? Yes. All of the time? Yes. Thank you. Continue, counsel. Now, Leah, when you were living at home last year with your mother before you went to live with your aunt, did you ever see your mom using drugs? Objection, relevance, Your Honor. Counsel? Your Honor, there's a statement by the mother that she hasn't used in the last 3 years. She's clean and sober, so this is going to relevancy. Overruled. Leah, you can answer. Answer? Uh-huh, go ahead. Do you remember the question? If not, we can re-ask it. Yes, I remember it. I probably, like if I wanted something from her, I probably went into the room and would see her before. Do you recall when that was approximately? No. The last time you saw her? No. Would it be fair to say that it was close to the time that you went to live with your aunt? Or objection, Your Honor, that is leading. Sustained. What did you see when you went into your mom's room? Well, when I went in, she probably tried to hide it or something. What was she trying to hide? Just a moment, counsel. Never mind. I apologize for the interruption. Okay, what was she trying to hide that you saw? A pipe? Did you ever see a pipe? Yes. What did it look like? It was black. What else? Anything else? That's it. Do you recall how long the pipe was? No. How many times did you see the pipe? 3 or 4 times. How many? 4 or 3 times. Does that mean 43 times, or I said 4 or 3 times? I didn't hear the or. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you recall where you saw this pipe 4 or 3 times? Probably like on the dresser, or found it under the bed. Or where on the bed? Under the bed. What were you doing looking under the bed? Looking for probably like some shoes or something. Was it under the bed? No. Whose bed was it? Was it your mom's, or yes, my mother's? Okay, thank you. Did you ever see anything else besides the pipe that made you think that your mom was still using drugs? Did you ever see any kind of drugs themselves? Just a moment. I didn't have an answer. No. I'm sorry. I apologize. Her head nodded up and down. I apologize. Make sure you give a verbal answer, okay? We don't want you to nod your head. You need to go back to that question, counsel. Did you ever see anything else besides a pipe that made you think your mom was still using drugs? Did you ever see any kind of drugs? No. Did you ever see any drugs themselves? No. Now, you stated that when you went into your mom's room, she was putting them away or hiding it away, or no, she was like, for I won't see it, what she was doing. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? She went out where I would not see what she was doing. What did you see? Describe, Leah. When you would open the door to your mom's room, what would she do? What was she doing? She would look or hide it behind her back. What? The pipe. How do you know it was a pipe in her hand that she was hiding behind her back? Because I saw it before laying around the house. How do you know the time you saw her, that's what it was in her hand that she was hiding behind her back? Or did you just assume that was it? I'm waiting for an answer. We will wait. It's okay. Take your time. Okay. Does the court, I'm waiting for her to answer. Do you remember the question? Yes. Do you have an answer? No. Why not? I don't know. Okay, go ahead, counsel. When you went inside the room, Leah, did you ever smell anything funny, or yes, or different? Leah, please do not answer the question until the full question is asked, even if you anticipate what it will be, okay? Thank you. Do you recall what it smelled like, the smell? No. Did you see any smoke? Yes. Where did you see the smoke? Where did I see it come from? Her mouth. Did your mom smoke cigarettes? Yes, all the time. All right, so let's do our read back. All right. Now let me give you a word list. You're going to hear embankment, railroad, which I do RR, trestle, abreast, sharply, whoa, horse, approximately, reins. All right. I'm going to read this once at 180, once at 200, once at 225. It's only one page, so that you can choose which one you want to read back. Or you can look at all of them if you want. Okay. All right. First time at 180. This is defense only, Q&A only. Here we go. Did you have any trouble with your horse after you turned south on the east side of the trestle? Yes, I did. Would you describe what that was? Well, we were riding 3 abreast at that point. The horse started gaining speed. What did you do about it? I tried to stop him. Well, what did you do? I pulled back on the reins and said, whoa. How did you pull back? Hard? With both reins. Just as hard as you could? As hard as I could. All right. And the harder I pulled, the faster he ran. I realized he was running away with me. I kept pulling back and saying, whoa, but he still wouldn't stop. All right, what happened next? I knew I was coming up to the second trestle. You mean the railroad trestle? Yes. That's half a mile up from the first trestle. Is that right? Yes. Go ahead. In order to get under it, he had to turn to the right and then again to the left. When I got approximately 100 feet from it, I went down an embankment and to the left. I could see the trestle ahead from that point. All right, let's do it again at 200. Here we go. Did you have any trouble with your horse after you turned south on the east side of the trestle? Yes, I did. Would you describe what that was? Well, we were riding 3 abreast at that point. The horse started gaining speed. What did you do about it? I tried to stop him. Well, what did you do? I pulled back on the reins and said, whoa. How did you pull back? Hard? With both reins. Just as hard as you could? As hard as I could. All right. And the harder I pulled, the faster he ran. I realized he was running away with me. I kept pulling back and saying, whoa, but he still wouldn't stop. All right. What happened next? I knew I was coming up to the second trestle. You mean the railroad trestle? Yes. That's half a mile up from the first trestle. Is that right? Yes. Go ahead. In order to get under it, he had to turn to the right and then again to the left. When I got approximately 100 feet from it, I went down an embankment and to the left. I could see the trestle ahead from that point. Last time at 2:25. Here we go. Did you have any trouble with your horse after you turned south on the east side of the trestle? Yes, I did. Would you describe what that was? Well, we were riding 3 abreast at that point. The horse started gaining speed. What did you do about it? I tried to stop him. Well, what did you do? I pulled back on the reins and said, whoa. How did you pull back? Hard? With both reins. Just as hard as you could? As hard as I could. All right. And the harder I pulled, the faster he ran. I realized he was running away with me. I kept pulling back and saying, whoa, but he still wouldn't stop. All right. What happened next? I knew I was coming up to the second trestle. You mean the railroad trestle? Yes. That's half a mile up from the first trestle. Is that right? Yes. Go ahead. In order to get under it, he had to turn to the right and then again to the left. When I got approximately 100 feet from it, I went down an embankment and to the left. I could see the trestle ahead from that point. You know, when I was reading this, I was thinking about this time we went, it was somewhere in Arizona. We rented these, it was in the High Sierras somewhere. But anyways, we rented these horses and it was with a big group of people. And this one lady's horse was like not obeying at all. And, you know, we don't know anything about horses. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this guide is like depending on these horses to behave, you know. I don't know. The whole time I'm reading this, I'm thinking about this lady that she had this ornery horse and I was so thankful it wasn't my horse. So anyways, I was wondering, you know, maybe that's why they're doing this, you know, there's this lawsuit because maybe somebody got hurt on one of the horses on a excursion or something. All right, so what we can do is we can each take a Q and Danae, and you can choose which, you know, whatever one you want to do. Which one did you feel like you did better with?
It's a toss-up between 180 and 200. The 180 was easier because it was slower, but the 200 was actually easier because I heard it.
Yeah. I always wonder that. Like, is it going to be the slower one, but then it's material you've never heard, or 200 because you've heard it, but it's faster. So
yeah, it's a toss-up, I think. Yeah. I think I'll read. I think the 180 was probably cleaner, but I think I'm going to read the 200 just to see how I did.
Good for you. That's
okay.
Good. All right. Yeah, you can start. And if you want, you can take a Q and an A, and then I'll take a Q and an A. We'll just go back and forth.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Question. Did you have any trouble with your horse after you turned south? Turn south. To the east. Oh, wait.
Do you have on the?
No, I have is the, but I know that's wrong.
That's okay.
Okay. Did you have any trouble with your horse after you turned south on the east side of the trestle? Answer, yes, I did.
Awesome. Question, would you describe what that was? Answer, well, we were riding 3 abreast at that point. The horse started gaining speed.
Question, what did you do about it? Answer, I tried to stop him.
Awesome. Question, well, what did you do? Answer, I pulled back on the reins and said, whoa.
Question, how did you pull back? Hard. Answer, with both reins.
Awesome. Question, just as hard as you could? Answer, as hard as I could.
Question, all right. Answer, and the harder I pulled, the faster he ran. I realized he was running away with me. I kept pulling back and saying, whoa, but he still wouldn't stop.
Question, all right, period. What happened next? Answer, I knew I was coming up to the second trestle.
Question, you mean the railroad trestle? Answer, yes.
Question, that's half a mile up from the first trestle. Is that right? Answer, yes.
Question, go ahead. Answer, in order to get under it, he had to turn to the right and then again to the left. When I got approximately 100 feet from it, I went down an embankment and the left. I could see the trestle ahead from that point.
Awesome. So it's just to the left. Embankment and to the left. Not sure.
What did I say?
I think you just said and the left.
Oh, okay.
You have to the?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Maybe. Okay. Maybe you got cut out and I just heard you say the. That's a possibility.
I could have read it wrong.
That's okay. So was it better than you thought?
Yeah, I mean, I had some misstrokes in there I want to work on, but I like going back and seeing like what I need to work on so I can fix it,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you want me to read real quick the 225 take and you can just look at your notes and see how you did?
Sure.
Okay. I'll just read the whole thing and then you can kind of just look and see if it's better than you thought it would be, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Question, did you have any trouble with your horse after you turned south on the east side of the trestle? Answer, yes, I did. Question, would you describe what that was? Answer, well, we were riding 3 abreast at that point. The horse started gaining speed. Question, what did you do about it? Answer, I tried to stop him. Question, well, what did you do? Answer, I pulled back on the reins and said, whoa. Question, how did you pull back? Hard? Answer, with both reins. Question, just as hard as you could? Answer, as hard as I could. Question, all right. Answer, and the harder I pulled, the faster he ran. I realized he was running away with me. I kept pulling back and saying, whoa, but he still wouldn't stop. Question, all right, what happened next? Answer, I knew I was coming up to the second trestle. Question, you mean the railroad trestle? Answer, yes. Question, that's half a mile up from the first trestle. Is that right? Answer, yes. Question, go ahead. Answer, in order to get under it, he had to turn to the right and then again to the left. When I got approximately 100 feet from it, I went down an embankment and to the left. I could see the trestle ahead from that point. How was it?
Not great, but it's totally a mind thing. I know, I remember like while you were going through that last take and I was writing, I got a little flustered and that just did me in, but there's really no reason for it. It's just totally a mental thing, you know?
Yep, that's right. And I think the more you practice it, the easier it gets, you know? I remember specifically thinking like in 225, I'm never going to get this. And then all of a sudden one day it clicked and I I still couldn't believe my hands were moving that fast. You know what I mean? And then when I passed my test, it was like, oh my gosh, I you know what I mean? So it seems really fast, but it's like one day it'll just click, you know?
That's what I hear. I mean, my aunt's a reporter, and
Oh,
she's my mentor, and that's what she says. That's what I hear so many people say, like just one day it clicked. And and I've had like moments where it's clicked and I'm like, okay, how do I get that? How do I recreate that every single time? But yeah, just practice, right?
it is. That's it. It's like that muscle memory and that practice. And like you said, some days it does click. So it's like it's happening. It's just it's going to happen more often than not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like a process. You know, I love that analogy of the runner that's preparing for the marathon. You know, you have your good days and your bad days, but then the more you train, the more good days you have. And then before you know it, it's like, wow, I ran, 10 miles when I had to start at 1. And I remember 1, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like that analogy.
Yeah.
The endurance and it also is an endurance thing, not just a speed thing. You might notice at first you can handle maybe 30 seconds to a minute of it, and then you kind of lose it and then you jump back on, and it's like an endurance thing. So
for sure.
Yeah. Now your aunt, what is her specialty? Does she work in court, depots?
No, she just does freelance depot work.
That's awesome.
She most of her career, I live outside of Nashville. I don't know if you remember, but
and you came from this area, right? From
California.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and most of her career was in California, and she's always done freelance work, but now she's in Nashville too. So, but I remember watching her on her machine when I was a little girl, and when she was in school, like back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I used to look at her notes and all that. And she's been an awesome resource for me. So
have you sat out with her yet?
Yes, I have.
Good.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, you have to be ready for anything, but the ones I've gone on haven't been as hard as school.
Yes. That is the truth.
So, I mean, school's really preparing you for anything, but there was one I was like, at the end of it, I was like, oh my goodness, I could have taken that one myself, So it's so encouraging. So.
Yes. And the agencies that you work for, most agencies, when you're a new reporter, they're going to give you cases that they know you can handle, like slip and falls, workers' comp, car accidents, and they won't give you anything that you can't handle until you're ready for it. In fact, I remember my agency saying, you're ready now for an expert witness. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. But she said, yeah, you're going to do it. So she pretty much had to push but up until then, she was great. So, and I think most agencies do that. They don't want to, overwhelm you or intimidate you. They want you to be ready. So it's, and having your aunt, how nice is that?
It's been just so great. I'm so blessed to have her, because even if I just have a question, I can call her. But I want to get out with some other people too, though, just to see how different people do it. I've only sat out with her, no one else. But so I think it would be cool to kind of see how different people handle different situations. And I haven't done any court. I've observed in court and sat there, but I've never brought my machine and sat in court.
Yeah, so all you have to do, the courts are really good about that. All you have to do is, talk to the head clerk and just say, hey, I'm an upper speed student. I would like to sit out, and they'll put you with somebody that's experienced, and then you can kind of see that and see what one you like,
Yeah. My aunt said once I start doing like sitting in court, she's like, you're going to jump up even more, because she said it really something about it. When she started doing court in school, she jumped up in her speed because for some reason it just helped her a lot.
Yes.
I don't know. So maybe
Yeah.
I need to do that. It's intimidating to me. I need to get that out of my head, but
Yes.
it's like
funny. Do you want to know something funny? My friends that work in court think that depositions are so intimidating. I go, why? And because you don't have the judge to protect you. There's no, you're on your own. But to me, court is more intimidating. So I know, isn't it crazy? I think
that's funny.
Yes, they totally think that depositions are intimidating because you don't have a judge to protect you.
I just saw the courts I've been in, the room is like so big. That's the part that gets me. It's like, if you can't hear, I mean, that's everything. So like that part kind of intimidates me, is being in a big room and you're having to just like take in everything in this big room. And
yeah,
I don't know. So I guess if you get a good judge,
yes,
that can mean a difference.
Yeah. And that's what my friends say. They have an amazing judge that he won't let the attorneys speak over a certain speed. He won't let them, get out of hand. He'll stop them right there. So they feel like they've got this protection, which that's neat,
That's nice.
Yes. Very nice. Very. Yeah, and then they don't have to transcribe their work unless it goes on appeal. So
right.
So that's always nice too. Where depositions, you have to transcribe everything.
Sure. Yeah. I visited a court in downtown Nashville, federal, I forget what court it was, but they have officials that work there. And I got to meet one of them, and the courtroom was beautiful, and she had an office there, and that's kind of nice too, to have like a place that you go every day and an office that you can get your work done.
Yes.
And so, although I don't know, the freelance life is kind of nice too. So
yeah, especially if you have kids and you want to, volunteer or, have that flexibility. I know there's perks to both.
Yeah.
So
anyways, so.
All right. Well, Catherine, it was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
All
Thank you for doing the read back. I feel like it helps.
You know what? We'll start doing that. Definitely. Even if you're not in class, I'll do it so that if you're watching the recorded, you can go back and read back on your own,
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And one more thing I was going to tell you that really helped me out right before I got my license. I sat out with a good friend of mine that was a depot reporter, and she told me, she said, take this job down like as if you are the actual reporter. So she said, you're getting every word just like you're there. And so that's what I did. And it really helped me to, I don't know, I guess, prepare myself and to let the nerves get out, because I just acted like I even transcribed it. So I don't know. It was something, it was like a mental thing for me that when I started on my own, it was like, okay, well, I'm used to getting every word because I've been pretending like I was the reporter. I mean, obviously you don't say that when you're there, but you just she just said that, get everything like you're the reporter. Don't tell yourself, oh, I'm just a student here, I can get what I want. And it really helped for preparing. So,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, have a nice weekend, and I will see you next week.
You have a great weekend too.
Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.